The divorce papers are already printed when I walk into the kitchen. He lays them on the counter like a breakfast menu, casual and ordinary. Pen uncapped, ink fresh and ready. I haven't even had my coffee yet. I'm still wearing my bathrobe, my hair unwashed, my mind foggy from sleep. You know this is for the best, he says, buttering his toast like this is just another Tuesday morning. It'll be clean. Quick. You'll land on your feet, Marlo. You always do. What he doesn't say out loud, but what hangs in the air like smoke, is this. After everything you built for me, after every late night and every client you brought in and every strategy you created, I'm keeping the company. I look down at the documents. See the logo in the corner. My logo. The one I designed 3 years ago on my laptop in our bedroom. The company that started as my idea, my vision, my risk. And I sign it. Right there. Still in my bathrobe. Still half asleep. Still believing that maybe he's right and this will be clean and simple. I don't realize until much later that I just signed away everything I built. And he knew exactly what he was doing. My name is Marlo Hayes, and I'm 31 years old. 3 years ago, I started a niche consulting firm from my bedroom. Small businesses needed help with digital strategy and brand positioning, but couldn't afford the big agencies. I saw a gap in the market and filled it. The first 6 months, I worked alone. Built a client list through networking and cold emails. Created systems, developed frameworks, made decent money. Then I met him, Callum, charming, ambitious, full of ideas about scaling and growth. He joined the business 6 months in. I let him in because I loved him. Let him into the business, into the brand, into my bank account. When we got married a year later, I thought we were partners, equal, building something together. But looking back now, I see the truth. I was the pitch deck. The proof of concept, the value proposition, and he was the exit strategy. He didn't build anything. He just built the narrative that made people think he did. And I let him. That was my mistake. I remember the exact moment he suggested it. We were doing taxes, surrounded by receipts and spreadsheets. Our accountant had asked about the business structure. Callum looked at me across the dining table and said something that sounded so reasonable. It's just cleaner this way. One name, one entity. The IRS prefers it. Less complicated for audits. He smiled that smile I used to trust. You'll still be the heart of it all, Marlo. This is just paperwork. I was exhausted from a long client project. Taxes always stress me out. So I said okay. Signed the forms he put in front of me. Didn't read them carefully enough. A week later, an email came from our CPA. Subject line, updated business registration. The company was now entirely under Callum's name. Legal owner. Sole proprietor. I was listed as an employee in the company I created. I stared at that email for 10 minutes. Then I clicked archive. Told myself it didn't matter. That ownership was just paperwork. That the real work was what mattered. I was so stupid. After the divorce papers were signed, Callum didn't fire me. That would have been too obvious. Too cruel. Instead, he just made me feel unwelcome. Started CCing me less on important emails. Left me off client meetings I used to lead. Rewrote my strategies and presented them as his own ideas. When I brought it up, he'd say I was being sensitive, that I was making things weird, that the divorce didn't have to change our professional relationship if I didn't want it to. But it was changing. Every day. In 1,000 small ways. The team started directing questions to him instead of me. Clients stopped asking for me specifically. My office got moved to a smaller space down the hall. Nothing dramatic. Nothing I could point to and say this is wrong. Just a slow erasure. Like watching yourself fade from a photograph. The worst part wasn't what Callum was doing. It was that everyone else went along with it. The team saw the change. They felt the shift in power. But nobody said anything. Nobody asked if I was okay. They just adjusted to the new reality where Callum was the founder and I was becoming irrelevant. I find out about the team retreat from Instagram. I'm scrolling through my feed on a Saturday morning when I see the photos. My former team gathered around a fire pit at some cabin in the mountains, laughing, doing group yoga, toasting marshmallows. The caption is what kills me. To the best founder and leader we could ask for. We wouldn't be here without you. Posted by Tessa, who used to be my assistant before she became Callum's. The photo is of him. Just him. No mention of me. No acknowledgement that I existed. That I built the foundation he's standing on. I scroll through the other photos. Everyone is there. The whole team. Except me. I wasn't invited. Wasn't even told it was happening. I turn off my phone and sit in silence for a long time. Then I start packing. Not my things. My evidence. Every email. Every contract. Every piece of proof that I built this company before Callum ever touched it. Because I'm done being erased. I don't cry. I don't scream. I don't post angry tweets or write a dramatic Facebook status about betrayal. I just go quiet. Completely, strategically quiet. I stop responding to Callum's texts about logistics. Stop showing up at the office. Stop pretending any of this is okay. My friends ask if I'm alright. I smile and say I'm fine. Just taking some time to figure things out. But I'm not fine. I'm furious. And quiet is dangerous when it comes from someone who built you. Callum doesn't understand that yet. He thinks my silence means defeat. Acceptance. That I'm moving on peacefully like he planned. He has no idea what I'm actually doing. Which is exactly what I want. Because the best revenge isn't loud. It's not public or messy or emotional. The best revenge is precise. Strategic. Built brick by brick while they're too busy celebrating to notice. And I'm about to become very, very good at revenge. A friend from the team reaches out. Someone who stayed behind when I stopped coming to the office. We meet for coffee at a place far from downtown where nobody will see us. She slides her phone across the table. He's been planning this for a while, Marlo, she says quietly. Rewriting the narrative. I thought you should know. On her screen is an email draft. Sent accidentally to her instead of whoever Callum meant to send it to. The subject line reads, Brand Positioning Strategy. Inside, one line makes my blood run cold. Want to position the company as my vision from day one. Clean founder story. Remove any confusion about origins. He's not just taking credit for my work. He's erasing me from the story completely. Rewriting history so that I never existed. So that 3 years ago it was his bedroom, his laptop, his idea. Line by line, he's making me disappear. My friend watches my face carefully. What are you going to do? I close the email and slide the phone back. Nothing yet. But that's a lie. I'm going to do everything. At night, after the anger fades into something colder and more useful, I start rebuilding. Not the business yet. The foundation. I open old case studies I wrote. Track down every client I brought in during those first 2 years. Make a spreadsheet with names, dates, contract values, and proof of my involvement. I pull emails from archived folders, screenshots of text messages with clients, testimonials they sent me directly, every piece of evidence that shows I built this company before Callum joined, that I was the architect, not him. It takes me 2 weeks to compile everything, organize it, create a timeline that's undeniable. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it yet, but I know that if I'm ever going to take him down, I'll need proof, documentation, facts that can't be argued with or explained away. So I build my case quietly, without noise, without drama, just cold, hard evidence that I was here first, and that everything he's taking credit for was mine. I start noticing something strange. Clients I used to work with directly are suddenly being handled by Callum. Same contracts, same deliverables, same strategies I created, but different name on the invoice. I reach out to one just to test something. A small business owner named Patricia, who I helped rebrand last year. I send a casual email asking how things are going. Her response confirms what I suspected. Oh, Marlo, I didn't know you weren't still involved. Callum's been managing everything. But honestly, the work doesn't feel quite the same. Are you available for a call? I am. We talk for an hour. She tells me she assumed I was still part of the company. That Callum never mentioned the divorce or my departure, just quietly took over my clients and gave them to himself, presenting my work as his continuation. By the end of the call, Patricia asks if I'm taking on new clients. I tell her soon. Very soon. After we hang up, I add her name to a list I'm building. People who might want to work with me again. People who valued what I actually brought to the table. It doesn't take long. 3 months after the divorce, Callum starts dating someone new. Our head of partnerships. A woman named Sienna who joined the team a year ago. Suddenly, she's in all his Instagram posts, wearing company merchandise, sharing his vision on LinkedIn, posting about their amazing team culture and innovative approach. I'm not surprised. I'm not even hurt. I'm just impressed by the timing. He replaced me in the brand, in the business, and now in his bed. All within 3 months. Very efficient. When mutual friends tell me about it with sad faces, expecting me to be devastated, I just shrug. Good for them, I say. And I mean it. Because Sienna has no idea what she's getting into. She thinks she's dating a successful founder, a self-made entrepreneur, a visionary. She doesn't know she's dating a man who built his empire by stealing someone else's. But she'll find out eventually. They always do. For now, I let him have his celebration. His new girlfriend. His stolen company. Let him feel safe and successful and untouchable. Because the higher he climbs on the foundation I built, the harder he'll fall when I pull it out from under him. 6 months after I leave, Callum launches a rebrand. New logo. New color scheme. New tagline. He removes the original name, the one based on my initials, and replaces it with something tech-sounding and generic. The launch post is full of buzzwords about elevated brand identity and strategic positioning. But something interesting happens. Clients don't buy in. Engagement on social media drops. The tone feels off somehow. Corporate instead of personal. Cold instead of warm. The metrics I used to track start declining. Slowly at first, then noticeably. I hear about it through the grapevine. Someone who still follows the company tells me they're struggling with client retention. That people are asking questions about where the original energy went. Callum doesn't understand why. He changed the logo, updated the website, made everything sleeker and more professional. But you can't trademark trust. You can't rebrand relationship. And that was always what I brought to the table. The thing he never understood how to replicate. The thing that made clients stay. Callum does a podcast interview. The episode is titled, How I Built This Brand. Not we. Not our story. Just I. I listened to the whole thing while making dinner. 43 minutes of him telling a version of our story where I barely exist. He talks about starting the company in his bedroom. About those early days of uncertainty and risk. About building client relationships and developing frameworks. Every story he tells is mine. Every strategy he explains came from my notebooks. Even the launch story, the one about our first big client who took a chance on us, he tells with my role minimized to supportive wife who believed in him. When the interviewer asks about partners or co-founders, Callum says he built it alone. That's the moment I make my decision. I've been patient, quiet, strategic, building my case and gathering my evidence. But this is the line. He can take the company. He can take the clients. He can even take my strategies. But he can't take my story and tell it like I was never there. That's when I start making moves. I don't move to a different city. Don't start over somewhere far away where I'll never have to see him. I do something better. I rent an office space in the same building. Same floor. 2 doors down from the company I used to own. The lease is cheap because it's a small space. Just enough room for a desk, a chair, and a vision. I move in on a Monday morning, carrying my laptop and a box of supplies. Set up my new workspace with the window facing the hallway. So every time Callum walks to his office, he sees me. Every morning, every afternoon, every time he leaves for lunch or a meeting, he has to walk past my door and know that I'm right there, building something new. The first time he sees me, he stops. His face goes through about 5 different emotions. Surprise, confusion, anger, fear. I smile and wave like we're old friends. He doesn't wave back, just hurries past. Good. Let him wonder what I'm doing. Let him worry about what I'm planning. Let him realize that I'm not going away quietly. I'm staying right here, where I can watch everything fall apart. I send one email, just one, to a former client named Brenda who I worked with during my first year. We'd built a complete digital strategy for her boutique consulting firm. She'd been so happy with the results that she sent 3 referrals my way. I keep the email short and professional, just reaching out to say hello, mentioning that I've started my own practice. Would love to catch up if she has time. She responds in 7 minutes. Marlo, I was wondering what happened to you. I tried to reach you through the company, but kept getting redirected. Can we meet this week? We meet for coffee on Thursday. She tells me the work quality dropped after I left. That things felt different. Less personal, less strategic, more cookie cutter. I didn't know you'd left, she says. Callum never mentioned it. I just noticed you weren't on the emails anymore. We talked for 2 hours. By the end, she asks if I'm taking new clients. I am. She signs a contract with me by the end of the week. It's not much, just 1 client, but it's a start. And more importantly, it's proof. Proof that what I built wasn't about the company name or the office space. It was about me, my skills, my relationships, my value. Things Callum can't steal because they were never his to take. My phone buzzes with a message from someone I don't expect. Tessa, the woman who used to be my assistant before she became Callum's right hand. Can I be honest? Her message reads. It doesn't feel the same without you. Things are falling apart. Can we meet for coffee? I hesitate. Tessa chose to stay when I left. She went to that team retreat and posted those photos. She's part of the narrative that erased me. But curiosity wins. We meet at a cafe across town. Neutral territory. She looks tired. Stressed in a way I recognize from my final months at the company. He's not a good leader, she says after we sit down. He takes credit for everything. Makes decisions without consulting anyone. The team is miserable. She tells me 3 people have quit in the last 2 months. That client satisfaction scores are dropping. That Callum spends more time on social media than actual work. I made a mistake staying, Tessa says quietly. I should have reached out sooner. I don't forgive her immediately. Don't offer comfort or reassurance. Just listen. A month later, she messages again. This time asking if I have any openings. I do. She joins my team the following week, bringing with her everything she knows about how Callum operates. Every weakness, every mistake, every crack in the foundation. There's a partnership deal I'd been working on before the divorce. A collaboration with a mid-sized tech company that wanted help training their sales team on personal branding. It was a 6-figure contract, the biggest opportunity I'd ever pursued. But I'd kept it confidential. Hadn't told Callum because I wanted to close it myself first. After I left, I continued those conversations quietly. Kept developing the proposal, refining the pitch. By the time I'm ready to present, I've built something solid. Then I hear through Tessa that Callum is trying to pitch to the same company. He found out about them somehow. Probably saw them in my old notes. He reaches out cold, offers them consulting services, uses the company name and reputation I built. But when he gets on the call, they stop him halfway through. We're already working with Marlo, the director says. She's been developing a proposal with us for months. There's a pause. You didn't know. Callum panics. Tries to explain that Marlo used to work for him. That any deals she made were actually his company's deals. They don't buy it. The call ends badly. And I smile when Tessa tells me about it. Because he's starting to realize something important. I didn't just build a company. I built relationships. And those are coming with me. I discover something interesting while reviewing old paperwork. The trademark on my original brand name, the one based on my initials that Callum replaced during his rebrand, expired last month. He forgot to renew it. Or more likely, he didn't think it mattered since he wasn't using it anymore. But it matters. That name still has recognition. Still has value in the market. People remember it. So I filed the trademark under my new company. Legally. Quietly. Within 2 weeks, it's approved. I now own the name that started everything. The brand identity I created 3 years ago in my bedroom. I don't do anything with it immediately. Don't announce it or make a big deal. Just let it sit there. Registered to me. A piece of the past reclaimed. But also leverage. Something Callum can't touch or control or claim he built. Something undeniably legally mine. When I finally launch my new consulting practice under that name, the response is immediate. Former clients recognize it. Reach out asking if I'm back. Tell me they've missed working with me. Within a month, I have 5 new clients, all people who remembered the original brand and were happy to work with me again. Callum sends a cease and desist letter. His lawyer claims I'm misleading clients, using the old brand name to create confusion in the marketplace, implying an association with his company that doesn't exist. They demand I stop using the name immediately. I forward the letter to my own lawyer, a sharp woman named Veronica, who specializes in intellectual property. She reads it and laughs. He doesn't have a case, she says. You own the trademark. You created the original brand, and you have proof the company started with you. We respond with our own letter. Attached are emails, contracts, and documentation showing I built the client base before Callum joined. That the brand was mine first. That he's the one who abandoned it, not me. We include testimonials from clients who specifically asked to work with me again. We cite dates, evidence, and legal precedent. The cease and desist goes nowhere. A judge reviews the case and dismisses it in one hearing. Mr. Hayes has failed to demonstrate ownership of the disputed trademark, the ruling says. Ms. Hayes has provided substantial evidence of origin and continuous use. Case closed. Callum's attempt to intimidate me into silence just gave me legal validation and cost him legal fees he couldn't afford. One of Callum's main investors reaches out to me, a venture capitalist named Roger, who put $50,000 into the company during its second year. We'd met a few times back then. He'd seemed impressed by the business model, the growth trajectory, the vision. Now he wants to meet for coffee. I agree, curious about what he wants. Roger gets straight to the point. I've been hearing things, he says, about how the company actually started, about who built what. I wanted to hear your side. I tell him everything, show him documentation, walk him through the timeline. He listens carefully, taking notes. When I finish, he's quiet for a long moment. Then he says something that changes everything. I invested because of you. Your pitch, your vision, your execution. I didn't realize you were gone until recently. He pauses. I'm pulling my funding. The company I invested in doesn't exist anymore. Not without you. He does. Files the paperwork that week. Requests return of his investment based on material misrepresentation. Callum panics. That $50,000 was funding his operations, covering payroll, keeping lights on. Without it, he's underwater. And Roger doesn't stop there. He starts telling other investors what happened. Quietly, professional, just sharing information. Several others pull out or decline to invest more. The money dries up fast. A pitch deck leaks online. Callum's latest attempt to raise additional funding. Someone uploads it to a public sharing site where anyone can view it. The slides are full of fluff, buzzwords instead of substance, charts showing growth that doesn't match public records, claims about proprietary methods that are actually just repackaged versions of my frameworks. The startup community notices. Someone posts a thread breaking down all the inconsistencies, questioning the numbers, pointing out the stolen content. It goes viral in small business circles. I don't leak it. I don't have to. Tessa tells me later that someone on the current team did it. Someone frustrated with Callum's leadership and dishonesty. Someone who wanted people to know the truth. The damage is immediate. Investors who were considering funding back away. Clients start asking questions. Articles appear online about startup founders who fabricate success stories. Callum's name shows up in several of them. The pitch deck speaks for itself. Shows exactly who he is when nobody's checking the facts. And the internet never forgets. The team starts leaving. Not all at once. One by one over several months. Quietly updating LinkedIn profiles. Announcing new opportunities. Some join competitors. Some start their own things. A few reach out to me asking about opportunities. I hired 2 of them. Both people I'd worked with closely in the early days. People who understood the original vision. The original values. The rest I just wish well. Tell them I'm glad they're moving forward. By the end of the year, Callum has lost 60% of his team. Had to hire replacements who don't understand the company culture. Who weren't there in the beginning. Who don't know how things used to work. The new team is fine. Competent. But they're not invested. Not passionate. They're just doing a job. And you can't build a great company with people who are just doing a job. The magic that made us special in the beginning, that came from people who cared, who believed in the mission. And that's gone now, replaced by transaction instead of transformation. My phone shows a missed call from Callum, then another an hour later, then a text. Can we talk? I stare at the message for 5 minutes. Wonder what he could possibly want to say. What explanation or justification or plea he's preparing. But I don't respond. Don't call back. Just archive the message and keep working. This isn't about revenge anymore. It stopped being about revenge months ago. Now it's about reclaiming what's mine. Rebuilding on my own terms. Proving that the value was never in the company name or office space. It was always in me. My skills. My relationships. My integrity. Things Callum could never take because he never understood what they were worth. 2 days later, he sends an email. Longer this time. Asking if we can meet. Talk about things professionally. Maybe find a way to collaborate. I almost laugh. He wants to collaborate. After everything. After the divorce, the erasure, the theft, the lies. After spending a year telling everyone he built this alone. Now that things are falling apart, he wants me back. I archive that email too. Don't even dignify it with a response. I get an invitation to keynote a business conference. Regional event. 500 attendees. The topic is what happens when a founder is written out. Resilience and rebuilding after professional betrayal. The organizer tells me my story has been making rounds in entrepreneurial circles. That people want to hear how I handled everything. How I built something new from the ashes. I accept the invitation. Spend 2 weeks preparing my presentation. On the day of the conference, I walk onto that stage with my head high. The room goes silent. I tell my story. All of it. The company I built. The man I trusted. The slow erasure. The theft of credit and clients and narrative. And then the rebuilding. The reclaiming. The proof that resilience isn't about going back. It's about going forward. When I finish, the entire room stands. 500 people applauding. Not because my story is unique, but because it's familiar. Because so many of them have experienced some version of being undervalued, erased, or betrayed. After the speech, dozens of people approach me, share their stories, ask for advice, hand me business cards. 3 of them become clients. 10 more refer people to me. The speech becomes a catalyst. Suddenly, I'm not just rebuilding. I'm thriving. 6 months after that conference, I receive an email that changes everything. A major consulting firm wants to acquire my company. Not Callum's dying venture. Mine. They've been watching my growth. Impressed by the client retention rates, the team culture, the ethical foundation I've built. They offer a number that makes my hands shake. More than I ever imagined. More than Callum's company was worth even at its peak. They want the methodology, the frameworks, the client relationships, the brand, all of it. But most importantly, they want me. My leadership, my vision, my continued involvement. It's not just an acquisition. It's validation. Proof that what I built had value. Real value. The kind that can't be stolen or copied or erased. I negotiate for 2 weeks. Make sure the deal protects my team. Ensures I maintain creative control. Honors the relationships I've built. When I finally sign, it's not with a pen on a kitchen counter while wearing a bathrobe. It's in a boardroom, wearing a suit, surrounded by lawyers who work for me. On my terms. The announcement goes public the following week. The article comes out on a Tuesday. Local entrepreneur sells consulting firm in major acquisition deal. There's a photo of me shaking hands with the acquiring company CEO. The article mentions the purchase price, the growth trajectory, the unique approach to client relationships. Callum's name appears once, in a single sentence near the end. Hayes was previously married to Callum Ross, who operates a separate consulting firm downtown. That's it. 1 sentence. No mention of him founding anything. No credit for building anything. Just a footnote in my story. I frame that article and hang it in my new office. Not because I'm proud of the money or the success, but because it represents something more important. Proof that you can't steal someone's worth. Can't erase their contribution. Can't rewrite history when the truth is documented. Callum kept the logo. kept the building, kept the empty chairs and the dying brand. But I walked away with everything that actually mattered. The team, the clients, the relationships, the respect, the integrity. He divorced me thinking I was the cost, something he could shed to make his life cleaner. But I was the asset, the thing that made the company valuable in the first place. And assets don't disappear. They reinvest. They compound. They grow. I built something once and had it stolen. So I built again. Better this time. Smarter. Stronger. Mine. And nobody can take that away. Not with divorce papers. Not with legal threats. Not with rewrites or rebrands or lies. Because the truth always comes out eventually. And I'm living proof of that.